So Champions Cup on Wednesday, O&M FC, we come in with a 4-0 aggregate lead. TQL Stadium, I believe it's going to be like a 7 p.m. start roughly. I think, if I look back to last year, Sam, we handed Motagua a very similar result in the first leg. Coming into the second leg, we actually did have some decent guys that were starting for that one. Situations were very different. Last season, a lot of guys unfamiliar, a lot of questions about where people would play, who would start, who would not. We actually played Evander, Denkey, Bucha, and Miles Robinson in the second leg against Motagua at home. I don't think that's going to happen this season for the same players. Personally, I think they've learned from last season. We actually ended up tying that match against Motagua, but advanced on aggregate. So we can still advance even with a draw. So don't be worried if that happens, or even a loss potentially. But O&M is not a fierce competition. Let's just say I think we'll be okay. But we could see some short-term loans that come in potentially from the second team, like we saw, I believe, with Dado. We saw that with Andre Shirilla. I have a predicted lineup here. Sam, do you want to shout out yours before I do mine?
No, go ahead.
I have. I think Louro is going to start. I think Kyle Smith. I really think that Flores, and then I actually do think Miazga might get some minutes in this one to start. He's going to anchor the midfield just to kind of give him a little bit of some, real match action. Alvis Powell is our other center back. And then I think Ender would be a good shout to get him into some real matches too, because if we travel to other places, he's not going to be able to play. He didn't play in the one last Wednesday, so I could see him starting out wide, playing, maybe 45 minutes. The center of Anunga and Jimenez with Dado above them, just to, again, keep Dado rolling. Barlow and Mboma Dem as my strikers.
Dang, fully rotated for you on that one.
Yeah, Ender, right? Ender and, Miazga, if you want to call him, but he's not going to start for a minute.
Yeah,
probably.
wow. Yeah. I don't know if it's going to be that rotated to start out with. Maybe
4-0 up. Why?
Fresh legs to get him ready for Minnesota, right? I mean, at least
Wednesday to Saturday,
some minute. I understand your why. I'm with you. I think once again, you're telling players that usually start to not start, right? Like, these are guys that are hungry to just play. They want to play ball, right? Like, I think Bucha, he didn't get the start in the first Champions Cup game. I think you see him get the start in this one. And so maybe Pat rotates the squad like that, right? Where maybe it's Giddy and Bucha, and then in the back half it's Anunga and Obi, kind of like it was, for Champions Cup. So maybe it's just flipped. But yeah, I don't know if Miazga gets the start. Might be too early to call on that one. Maybe Hagelin in the middle on that one if Robinson isn't going to start. But once again, Miles is coming off a great game, so you kind of want to keep the confidence up on that one too. I just think there won't be as much rotation as you have here, but I do think obviously second half we'll get some major subs probably.
Yeah, I respect the take. I think early on in the season we already saw what happened with Evander. Like, why press people when it's 20 degrees outside? We're already going to be going and playing in Minnesota. Maybe that's a reason why you play them and you get them used to some of that too. I don't know, but if they get too tight and then they play a game and it's been a week of real game competition, and that creates a problem too. Whichever way they want to look at it, but just looking at the past, like it appears that they did play some starters last season in that second leg. So we'll see what happens. I think for me, a 2-0 victory at home would be a pretty sound, move on to the next round. Just take care of the opponent in front of you and then deal with what's later, because I'll touch on it here in a minute, the situation going on.
Yeah, I think 3-1 for me is the prediction. I think, offense, I think Dado maybe gets a goal in this one to some degree. And then maybe we'll get some more headers. I like the header goals that, Hagelin gets. Maybe we'll continue a run of that.
Yeah, I like it. Both, in the winning column for this one, keep it rolling on in the season. The situation, though, again, if we win and when we win, hopefully here, move on. I had mentioned we play March 12th potentially against Tigres. It would be at home, Cincinnati. Following week, I think it would be the 19th, would be down in Monterrey. Well, Mexico's a little scary right now. I was down there, just recent here, but it's a scary situation. And I don't know what that will look like, obviously here in a few weeks for the team. If it stays the way it is, we might see this postponed for a bit. And then how does that affect our schedule, moving forward? We can only control what we can control. So, but how does that impact decision making?
That not only
Evander back, or who do we play and not play? That makes a difference.
Well, so the other thing too is it not only affects FC Cincinnati, it affects the other teams that are potentially playing down in Mexico as well, right? Yeah. The other Liga MX teams that
we've seen matches postponed.
Exactly. So does that mean that the games that are not being played down in Mexico, right? Let's say it's 2 MLS matchups, like are they free to play, right? Or how does that work? Because then you have teams that are behind and teams that are ahead. So it'll be interesting. Obviously, it's something that the world is monitoring right now. It's deeper than soccer, so we'll see as we go along the next couple of weeks in Champions Cup.